Hey, is there really any hope for the planet? Because, we are always producing more and more greenhouse gases. We are burning more and more fossil fuels. CO2 is ever rising ever faster. And, if we go like in these areas, we're going to see temperature increases very soon in this century of like not only like 1 degree, 2 degrees. No, it's going to be probably like 3, 4, 5 degrees. That's like all the possibilities were there if it just go on the certain path what we are on right now. So is there any hope for the whole global warming and climate thing? Well, of course there is, and the only thing we have to do is like watch on the whole thing, like the whole planet on a global scale, because like imagine this, like here in Europe there has been quite a lot of effort to reduce fossil fuel use, which was quite good. But then on the other hand, the whole world was burning more fossil fuels. Why? Prices just decrease. One area of the world is like consuming a little bit less. So prices decrease. More people think, oh, it's a good idea, and it's still used. So we have to find mechanisms which work on a global scale. And basically they are like, we say there are like three things to do. And like the baseline for all of this, the foundation is to raise awareness for the topic. That we are doing here with reduceco2now.com. It's all about raising awareness, producing a network of people around the world speaking the languages of the people about global warming and climate change, and also the solutions. So, solution number one, if you look at fossil fuels, the main thing is we have to do something that, the demand for fossil fuel on the whole world is going to decrease. And also like the availability of fossil fuels is going to decrease. How do you do this? Well, one of the most simple things would be how to increase the prices. So we are looking in ways how to increase the prices for fossil fuels. That's like, most people are like, oh, we want to have like low energy prices. Everybody is like, oh, we want to fuel the economy and things like this. So nobody's really like looking, apart from the OPEC, which was like trying to regulate the price. We want to push up prices. That's up one thing, and we want to do this like fossil fuel storage fund. It's one of the solutions, and we will look for others. How to increase the prices of fossil fuels? Because, increase the prices of fossil fuels with market mechanisms, and on the other hand, then demand is going to drop, and we have all the alternative energy sources here as well. There's lots of solar power installed, but when they find ways to actually consume it again, like put it into Bitcoin or AI or stuff like this. So when we install more power, the world is using more power. So that's like the problem. We have to do something really, especially targeting fossil fuel prices up, fossil fuel demand down. Okay, that's like one area. So that we actually reduce the amount of fossil fuels. If politics would do a good job, politics would just say, hey, we want to solve climate change, easy peasy thing. Like all the oil producing countries would just say, hey, we are reducing and producing less of this. Like 5% less every year, 20 years, done. The world has changed from fossil to something else. Easy, right? But like getting all these people agree on something, really big thing. So that's why we're looking for ways how to do market mechanisms and introduce something which doesn't really rely on politics, because politics is basically looking after they want to be re-elected and stuff like this. So hopefully they jump and do something in the future. But like, hey, politics not really big part of the solution so far. At least for us, we just say, hey, we look it to do something which doesn't really involve much of politics, because a lot of people say the politics has to solve the issue. No, we say, hey, let's find ways and look at the world on a global scale. So that's like fossil fuel. We want to reduce the fossil fuel use. That's like number one. Number two, get this stuff, CO2, back out of the air. And there's like, things where you have carbon capture and storage. There's like, yesterday somebody sent me something like on a ship. They have something, the ship is going and then they produce some precursor for cement. Hey, that's really a cool idea. That the CO2 is not actually getting into the air from the ship. That's like really something, because cement producers are actually one of the biggest producers of CO2. So there's like things in technology to be evolved. But then also like, this is like not getting the stuff into the air. There's like carbon capture and storage. There are some ideas to capture it with machines and then like pump it in gas form into the ground. I don't really believe in this, but like the biggest thing is Mother Nature, because all the green stuff, we just have to get green stuff and put it back into the ground, get it away from the surface, from the atmosphere. That could be like one of the things we're looking at. Hey, we can take dead wood and like bury it, that it's not going to decay and become CO2 again. That's like one of the things. You can have like all kinds of biomass and pump it in liquid form into the ground. Basically like we got the black stuff out, so we put like green stuff squished in back into the ground. That's like two things. Get CO2 by biomass into the ground. CO2 in gas form, not such a good idea because it's like sort of dangerous and complicated. So some people are thinking of this. No, I don't think that's really the solution, because like if you just calculate the amount of CO2 gas that you would need to pump away, it's insane. And if the CO2 is coming back up again on the surface, it's dangerous. So there are solutions, and the only thing is, hey, we have to like get the whole world on working to put in place stuff, small projects. Imagine millions of people doing small projects to get away CO2. That would be something. Or all kinds of cities starting to like pump away biomass to the ground. That would be something. And what we are envisaging there is eBay for carbon credits, a worldwide platform that you exchange carbon credits on small projects, without like the big certification processes and bureaucracy, what we are thinking about. No, like really easy, that somebody in like Bangladesh or in Africa somewhere is just doing something good for the environment and can get paid from the rest of the world. So really easy, that's like one thing. And then we have like the third area is like reforestation. And that's basically the big thing there is food. Let's face it, a lot of people around the world eat too much, especially like here in my country, in Europe in general, in like North America, a lot of places, people eat too much. There are statistics that like if we are consuming 4,000, so we are buying about 4,000 calories per person per day. But we actually like need only like a little bit less than 2,000. So we practically consume double the calories what we need. And you can see this by just looking around at people, they are overweight. So if we just like reduce food to the limit, then we are like also limiting food waste, because part of this equation is already food waste. And then we would go for a CO2 optimal diet, that people are actually eating things which are really optimal for CO2 and not producing so much CO2. We could actually be reforesting enormous parts of the world. And that would make an enormous difference on CO2, because all these new grown forests is going to take up CO2 from the air and like capturing it. But that needs to be done on a really massive scale. How do we do this? Hey, we really have to influence how the world is eating, That's like one of the things that make it like really that really people would look at, hey, I'm just looking to eat just the calories I need. I just eat the amount I need. I need it in the correct, healthy way, a healthy CO2 optimized diet. And then also eat like this, that I don't really waste any food. Big impact on the world, because like really 50 to 80% of the agricultural area we use today could be replanted with forests. Imagine that we are like replanting the whole world, lots and lots of areas with forests, or like make it, there's a field and then they put a forest, and all these kind of things which are possible to plant much more trees and get more CO2 out of the air. So the only thing is, it needs to be done on a really big scale. And that's why we envisage this fossil fuel storage fund. It has to be really growing really big, so we have to set this up correctly. And even if somebody's copying us, hey, that's like really good, because we are after the impact on the world. Then install something that all over the world people are making projects to get CO2 out of the air, planting new forests and getting paid for that. Isn't that cool? And then that's really going to turn climate change around. We can dial it back, and then we can decide really what kind of CO2 level do we want to have in the atmosphere? Something like maybe 350 parts per million or something like this. So we really can target what's going to be like this, And that's really a long-term solution that we learn not to waste this planet. So thank you very much for watching. Please follow the channel.